the road to growth, success of an entrepreneur.
We've raised the bar.
Learn firsthand from successful business owners and create your own path to success.
I'm going to show you how great I am.
It's time to hit the road to growth with team lead of the Enriquez Group, Realtor Vinny.
Hi, you Road to Growth listeners. Today we got Ben Oosterveld. Man, you know,
Oosterveld, don't care. It's all good, man. Oosterveld.
All right, perfect.
All good.
So business mindset coach. I mean, gone through, a good amount of adversity and just kind of pushed through. And now you help people kind of get to where they want to get to. Is that kind of a rough assessment?
Yeah, you know, I really focus on business owners and real estate agents, help them get out of their own way. Actually put in some real systems that actually focus a long game. Most guys are focused on short game, but at the end of the day, emotional intelligence is massive. It's mindset. And so I've coached as a sales marketing coach. I've coached all kinds of different things, different companies. And at the end of the day, the person behind the strategies is usually missed. Everyone wants to Google the strategies and everyone wants to do how, when really it's a mindset. Like, what are you limiting yourself at? So we got to smash through those limiting beliefs and then you level up in business. It's very, very simple, but people are always wanting to how, but they don't want to look at themselves in an honest way. And so I think I'm the only guy that's blending emotional intelligence, personal growth, deep dive into inner beliefs with business building. And I feel like that's more important than the actual how in business. So that's kind of what I'm up to. I'm helping people get out of their own way, figure out who they are and how to scale businesses that way first.
Well, going through your story, it seems like one of the biggest things you had to work with on your personal self was something at a young age. Can you walk us through kind of what happened when you were younger?
You know what, working with people, it's pretty amazing when you actually get real with them, how many people, like I'd say 90% of people have had trauma, have had different things at different levels. And it's funny because I feel like that needs to be the biggest conversation first, because our subconscious is literally on the wheel. It's not us. Like, our subconscious is driving the ship. That's why we self-sabotage. That's why we chase things, do wrong partnerships. There's so many different things. Real estate agents change brokerages every 5 minutes thinking that that'll solve the game, but it's usually an emotional issue they're trying to solve with a business solution. So this is my background is grew up in a very, very tough childhood, ended up running away from home at 12, staying away, lived on the streets. I found a place where I fit in, which was drug addicts and party dudes, and lived my life that way and in and out of jail cells. And just at a very core level, I never really knew how valuable I was. And I walked this earth feeling like I was hopeless. I walked this earth just not knowing where I was at, who I was at, and my childhood was not easy. I had to get away from my situation. That's why it wasn't that I wanted to rebel and do these things. I just felt empty as a little kid, and I took off, found my place in some street kids, and long story short, ended up in a rehab center. After I tried suicide and different things, and went into a rehab center for 365 days, and I was turned 18 years old when I was in rehab, and then I got headhunted. First, I worked for that rehab center as a counselor, as a PR guy. Spoke probably 80 times, sharing our stories and raising money. So that was cool, like that. But then I got headhunted by a company that needed a sales guy called Gunner Office Furnishings, and I went in there. And when you have an inadequacy and you don't feel like you're valuable, you go to performance. And so if you perform well, you feel good. If you don't perform well, you're probably just a big pile of piece of shit. It's just like this weird, and I know A-type strong personalities have this until they figure it out, but you're driven by an aggressive internal dialogue. And so I went and sold, I worked there. I was too young for the business. I sold $2.5 million of office furniture. And it's pretty ironic, as my dad was a top salesman in all of Canada, financial planner, sold vacuums. Sales was where he noticed me. And so if we have to always tie our stories to our business and to our success and to which direction you're taking, because the worst thing in the world is chasing someone else's goals, because you waste about 10 years, 20 years of your life until you figure it out. Maybe it's a midlife crisis.
Let's rewind a little bit then. What do you think, looking back now, right, you were missing and pushed you to leave your home and kind of go on the streets and find drugs and so on and so forth?
Well, you know, my dad, he's a good guy now. We're friends now and we've got a great relationship. But he was raised by a dad that his dad was in a concentration camp at one point. And so you can imagine what happened there. And the way that I was raised was definitely not something that he should be proud of, to be honest. And so when you just don't feel loved and accepted, you don't feel safe anytime. And so you go through this childhood. But I was always a little bit smart, and I don't know what it was, but I went, if I stayed in this tribe, I'm going to become this tribe. And so at 12 years old, I just realized, you know what? I was born into the wrong tribe. This was not my people. And to this day, I look for my tribe one at a time.
Now you found your tribe, you're partying. It seems like things are positive. Did you make a choice to go to rehab, or was it rock bottom?
Well, it was a night I was on all kinds of different drugs. It was 2, 3 in the morning. And I'm laying there in this basement suite, this dungy basement suite I'd rented. And I'm laying there and hallucinating. And I just all of a sudden had this crazy moment of like, go home. And so I ended up, it's vague, but I got a cab. The cab, I remember the cab knowing me for some reason. And he drove me to my parents' house. I got out, I stood there at 2, 3 in the morning. And like it was death, or like I've tried, like I'm like, this has to end. Like I can't live like this. I just wanted to, it's just hopelessness, right? It's a very, very ugly thing, is hopelessness. And so I stood there, I walked in, I knocked on my parents' door. My dad had already in his mind disowned me. He was done with me. My mom comes, I sat on this step and she says, what's going on? I said, look in my eyes. I'm high as a kite. I always had money. Money was always easy for me. Threw $1,000 on cash on the ground. I said, Mom, I got tons of cash, money, but I want to die. And she goes, well, there's this place called Teen Challenge, and it was a rehab center. And I remember they had a men's choir show up at my church as a kid, which is so ironic because they actually billeted the choir members, which were ex-drug addicts, in my house. So it was almost like this weird meant to be that someday I'll be needing to know about this place. My parents had these guys in their house. And so it was a choice. And in my head, I said, I'll give it one more try. I'll give it one more try because I wanted to live. I just couldn't figure it out. I wanted to live. So I gave it one more try. And that was the turning point. It got me clean for a year. And you know, it's been a long time since then, but.
Let's jump back again. You said money was always easy for you. Were you selling stuff? Were you working places?
I was an entrepreneur at heart. You know, my dad again created a value system by telling me that he loved me when I worked hard. So when you have that happen as a child, that goes deep. And when it's not unconditional love, the only way to feel love, and that's ultimately what every human wants. If you break us right down, there's only one thing we want, is to be loved. And to love. That's literally, if you break down every single motivator, everything comes down to that. And so for me, my dad was a salesman, and he was the hardworking son of a gun. And whenever I did anything in a way that would be hard work or sales, he'd love me. And so it was a dysfunctional, like I understand that very clear now. I can usually break down anybody and find their motivators pretty quickly and understand if they're even on the right path or the path that's authentic to them. A lot of times people don't take their own path, and then they wonder why they're empty. So
do you remember when you were able to switch over working hard and sales for him compared to you?
Yeah, it's like 15-year process.
Okay.
I'm the most committed to personal growth I've ever met anyone. I'm ridiculously insane. I'll put myself in hard positions just to find out what I do. I will if I am scared, I lean at it. If there's things in me that I don't like, I'm looking right at it. Like I'm ridiculously courageous at looking at the shit I don't like about myself. I think if I was to say one thing so someone could take something away, is that this whole self-love movement is bullshit. And here's why. Looking in the mirror and saying you're beautiful is going to lead to judgment. So what you do is people, even psychologists and counselors, are all saying you need to have more positive thoughts than negative thoughts. And that's bullshit. Because what you're doing is you're trying to outdo what you don't like about yourself with positivity. It's insanity. It doesn't work. Go look in the mirror and say you're beautiful 50,000 times. How do you feel? You feel fat. And so the fact is, I want to say I'm fat. Yeah, I'm fat. But can we accept ourselves fat? this is now the ultimate hack to personal growth. Is not self-love, but self-acceptance. Now this goes against all A-type personalities, because like, fuck that, I need big goals. I need, giant goals and all this. Well, that's all inadequacy. It really is. Like, I have massive goals, but I'm not attached to them, like with my own personal values, not tied to them anymore. Like I'm still a sales guy. I'm still a hardest working son of a gun out there. These are things that are okay. It's not that, it's just the motivation's different. And so the biggest thing is if you can look at yourself in the mirror and accept who you are. Now, that's hard, because as the American dream doesn't accept who you are. Kick your ass, be better. You got a 4-pack, get a fucking 6-pack. You need a 6-pack, get an 8-pack. If you did 5,000 transactions, you need 5,001 transactions. Like a lady the other day sent me a message on Facebook. She goes, I was looking for a coach, and she's a real estate agent. And I said, how many deals do you do? She goes, 400 deals in my team. I want to level up. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, to what? 500 deals? Like 400 deals. I want to level up. That's someone that's lost to me. Because if you're doing 400 real estate transactions, you should have a life that's fucking amazing. But instead, there's emptiness, so they want to build more. I don't know what is more. Like, we got to find out what is enough. Then build a life we love, versus just hitting next levels for no reason. It's just deeply passionate for me. So you need to accept who you are, find out what your enough is, and then focus on building a life. That's my thinking.
Can't you do both?
Yeah. What's the motivation? I just want to know why. Like, is it your goals?
Yeah.
Like, are they even your goals? That's the problem. Why do you need, okay, tell me, why do you need $10 million? So you obviously have a life that you're trying to build, and no one is actually connecting it to anything.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens. It's like, I remember wanting to buy the NHL team, Edmonton Oilers. And when you tell people big goals, they love you. Wow. Elon Musk, I'm going to Mars. It's almost like the bigger the goal, the more popular you are. But when I say I'm good, I've won the game, it's almost like I'm a quitter. Like, it's not. It's like my relationship with my wife is incredible. And it all changed when one night I came home and she said, I want to leave you, man. That's when I cracked $1 million. And I sat down, I said, I'm doing it all for you. I'm doing everything for you, the kids, everything. She goes, I don't need any of that. And I'm like, well, I want the kids. No, Ben, you're doing it for you. You're doing it for you. You're fixing your own inadequacies. You're chasing when you shouldn't be chasing, when you have everything right here with you. That was the day I stopped doing YouTube. I stopped doing everything. And I went, fuck, I'm already won the game. I got a wife that really loves me. I got kids that, at that point they were asking for a new dad, but I had the kids that wanted to love me too. And so now I say, now my entire motto is that, love where you live, love the work you do, love who you're with, and love who you are. If we can work on those things, dude, I'm in a very good financial picture. I've got things popping, man. I got people coming at me on every level. I run retreats. I got business owners coming. Like, I got real good stuff. Guess what? Don't care. Don't care. It's the most funnest thing ever, being an entrepreneur and just freaking seeing how far I can go. But I'll let it all go in 10 seconds because I've already won the game.
Let's say, okay, and you've got to the place that you're at, right? Where you have a level of success that you can appreciate, right? Let's say if you were talking to that person that was selling furniture still, right? And he changed his mindset for wanting more to being content with who he was. Do you think he would ever allow you to get to where you are today?
Great question. Everyone thinks that it's if you don't have that insecurity, you'll never push that far. Like, I bought
not insecurity.
Yeah,
I mean, just the idea that, because and the way I'm taking it, I could be totally wrong.
Let's go.
That it's a contentment, appreciating what you have and not needing more, not wanting more.
Yeah, I bought 41 properties in 14 months at one point. I could have bought 20 and done good. Yeah. Like, and I think that guy, if I go back and talk to the guy selling desks and office furniture and landing all these huge companies and commercial deals, and I'd look at you and go, what do you want? Yeah. And I'd have to cut through his bullshit, just like I do with everyone else I work with. They always tell me this is what I want. I just say, well, is that yours? No, I wanted to prove my dad that I could fucking destroy him at his own game. He was a top level financial planner. If you're not going to love me, fuck you. And that's very, very, very clear today. But I was blind to what was motivating me. I want to know what's motivating people so we can actually get to a life that they want to live. And you know what? It might be needing $10 million, but it better be tied to something of meaning. because there's an empty path there.
So So I understand what you're saying. So be happy with who you are and try to find a way to fund your perfect life, not basically trying to prove someone else.
Yeah. Like, I think, what do you want?
Yeah.
Why do you have every single social media platform going? Why are you interviewing me? Why are you even doing this? I'm interested in that stuff. Like, why? Yeah. You're a real estate guy. Now you're pivoting over to maybe doing some entrepreneurial stuff. Obviously, you got ambitions. What's driving that ambition? If you can figure that out, that's the big thing. But no one's talking about that. They're always talking about, acquiring more, which I'm good with. Don't get me wrong. I love it. Love everything. Money, I'll swim in it if I can. Yeah. But it's just definitely not defining me. And I'll let it go in 10 seconds. If I live on the streets again, I'm willing to do that as long as I'm with my family.
No, I appreciate it. I think you hear it so much that some people that have buku bucks, and I've talked to some of these people,
exactly.
Right? They still don't appreciate what they have because, again, like you're saying, they want more. So if you're content with what you have, and usually that comes to a point of if you can pay for all your bills. Once you can pay for all your bills and you're not stressing out, maybe a vacation or two, that's probably, and you can find happiness in that, then that's gravy. I think when you go to the next level and you still can't find happiness and more, then there's something deeper. So I can fully
that's using financial security to find happiness still. Like I feel like even if you don't pay your bills, you could really be happy. That's the missing factor. And people think it's monk-like, or you gotta be poor to be happy. There's so much deep and limiting beliefs around money. It's an amazing topic. I'll run mastermind workshops on your relationship with money. Like, for example, like I grew up in a Christian home. Okay. There's a verse in the Bible that says it's easier for a camel to get through the eye of a needle than to a rich man to get to heaven. Holy shit. So if I'm rich, I'm going to hell. Imagine that subconscious belief from a childhood. We need to uncover and figure out what the hell that even means. Secondly, is that even your belief? And guess what? Yes, it is including that into your decisions, your self-sabotage, your chasing. You'll get to a place where you're rich and wealthy and you'll self-sabotage it because of a core belief as a child says you're going to go to hell if you go to get rich. Like, these are the things that are really underlining our behavior. So we got to uncover that stuff. So there's some really interesting things that from an emotional intelligence, inner game stuff that can actually level you up 10x better than any sales training, marketing training, anything like that. The inner game is what's holding us back.
So you don't think that if you were compared to who you are now compared to, let's say you were poor living on the street, right? Trying to fend for your kids. You think you'd have the same level of happiness that you have at that point compared to who you are today?
Well, I'm sitting looking at the ocean in one of the most prestigious neighborhoods ever. So I'd be full of crap saying I'd love that. The thing is, though, I think it's possible. I don't want that. I don't plan to have that. Am I willing to? Yeah. Because you got to find a life. I'm saying, though, that I'm not attached to this life of prosperity, even though it chases me now. So that's the game. See, it's like a cat. You chase a cat, right? It always runs away. And so the chasing part is the inner game. If we can find the contentment, money will be naturally yours. It seems a little foo-foo, but that's real. Because if you're doing something like, if I can say, be yourself, not be an entrepreneur, not be a businessman, make sure you do your business planning and all this stuff that we're told at every level. If you can be yourself, you'll become magnetic. You will do something in your life that will leave an impact on this planet. When you're doing that, that is the ultimate entrepreneur, is I solve problems. And people need that problem solved. And it's something that I'm so deeply passionate about, helping people get out of their own way to build a business that can pay for the life that they dream. That's because that's in my soul. I'm still that little boy back in my dad's house wanting to leave. And I understand compassion and empathy. I'm deeply motivated by people stuck in their own shit. And because I know how to help them out of it. So that's why money's coming after me, because I'm doing what it's built. I'm built for this. And I think people are doing what they think they should, like start an agency, or I should be in tech, or whatever these things are. But what about just being you? Like, it's not good enough. So we need to get the not good enough feeling away so you can embrace your own magic, because then money will chase you. Not because of some strategy. It's because you're magnetic. Like, if it was just solving a problem on the world, that's tied to your own story, that's unstoppable.
So let's go back to your story, right? You were in sales, then you started to get into real estate investing.
Yeah.
And then from there, when did you start getting the idea of coaching, giving back? When did that idea start kind of transition and start coming about?
So I was crazy because I didn't have self-awareness or even, but which in some way it's okay, because I quit being a furniture salesman when I read Robert Kiyosaki's testimonies of the Rich Dad Poor Dad. I couldn't believe it. I was like, these are my people, and I'm crazy. I'm like, I want to do real estate. So I quit the job. The president of the company goes, you are going to regret this. And I did, and I didn't. And ended up with a portfolio of over 60 some properties. I had a company called Cash Flow Consultants, and I crushed. Like, I had investors, we had great investments, we were all making money. I was young though. I hadn't had enough experience to experience what it's like to fail. And so the crash hit 2008, and my investors were okay. They called me and they're like, we want to get out of some of these properties. I said, I can't. And being a performance person, that you grade your own success and your own identity on how well you perform, it crushed me. My identity was attacked at full speed by my investors. And so I ended up selling off a lot of the properties because there was no investing going on. Like, no one's investing. Like, people are killing themselves because their investments are, like, financial planners are committing suicide. Like, it's something that you'd never want anyone to go through, but I'm really thankful I did. I had to navigate millions of dollars of investments for these people, and I was young. Like, so that was money. We're using real money. Yeah. Like, it was obviously hard money. I don't know what that means. I know that I was financing it. There was money. Like, I don't know what the difference is.
So were you underwater then? I mean, or was it
like so everything was down payments, and so my investors would put a big chunk of cash in. We'd finance it. We used the bank's money. In Canada, it was way different than the States. Like, banks would go under. Canada, that stuff didn't happen. So we were pretty safe. Plus, everything cash flowed. The only thing is, I had a few projects going that were needing to be sold, was part of the exit. And those, to this day, I'm still stuck in a couple of them. And so so I've got like, if I went back into investing, I would dominate. Like, I know the game. I just feel like, I feel like I got an amazing lesson on what it is to know real estate. Some real estate doesn't go up for 10 years. I always used to say, give it 5-10 years, everything goes up. So that's just immaturity. Well,
in Canada, I thought I saw it somewhere, and this was a couple years back, that when we had the dip here in the US, that was pretty drastic. We were talking about 50% drop. It wasn't really as drastic up in Canada.
It wasn't as drastic, but it took 10 years to recover still to get back to that. So it was real. What it was everything. So price wise, underwater.
Yeah.
A lot of them, right? Because I was leveraged, man. Like, I leveraged everything. That was a mistake. I could have done 40 properties. I could have. So if I was to rebuild the entire, just on a side note, if I was to rebuild a real estate investment company, I would change the entire game from leverage to cash flow. And what I would do is say, okay, you want to invest in this? I'd first invest in a $20 million property, not a bunch of houses. That was a mistake looking back, because if I scaled 4 cities and I had houses everywhere, right? So I had staff, multiple offices. I created more infrastructure than I needed. I would just go really big, and I would raise 50% of the money cash, at least 50. And then there'd be a security blanket for long-term wealth, where people would just have their cash flow come out and they'd have an income. And then we'd have an equity game as the bonus. And then we'd have a monthly cash flow coming out, because it's so much of a down payment. I know it's backwards, but that's what I would do.
Well, for people listening right now, and this is just mine, you can say I'm idiot or correct.
Yeah,
the higher the price point you go in investments, usually the cheaper it is per door. Right, so less basic competition for the most part. I don't know if I'm saying that correct, or
I don't know. I think I don't really do a blanket statement. There's always exceptions to everything. So I feel like the way I look at it is depends on what your plan is. If you're just looking for big cash flow, you're probably looking at a cheaper price with like rooming rentals and Airbnbs. High. So I say high management. A lot of times you can get a lot of money. But it's high management, and it's usually in an area that's a little cheaper because the purchase price versus the rental income. If I like that middle ground of an area that's not really built up yet, you find that area that's a little bit more expensive, that's got some stability, it's already gone through some of the changes. I like those areas, because those are areas where my money is safe, and it's low management, way better tenant profile. So that's just my thinking.
That makes sense. Perfect sense. So you're you're in that moment, you're getting rid of some of the properties, and then kind of what happens next?
Yeah, I'm really good at sales marketing. So, and at that time I was going through a lot of personal development as well. So I started coaching, and I started picking up clients all over the place and helping them with their businesses. And it was very satisfying. It was very cool. But most of the time we ran into the actual business owner and their mindset and their limiting beliefs and the things that held them back. So I helped them work through a lot of that relationship issues, or you virtually call me a relationship coach, to be honest. Relationship with yourself and relationship with others does affect business the most. And I started doing that.
And you talked about it that most of your business is referral based. So I'm guessing
Yeah.
the first couple of clients you had, people reached out to you, or how did
No.
that?
I had to convince people to hire me. Oh
Okay.
yeah, times have changed, and you still have to, right, to a point, but it's mostly referral now. But I went and actually found real estate agents were the most undertrained. Now everyone and their dog's a real estate coach, and most of them are shit, to be honest. But the thing is, my what I did was I started coaching real estate agents, and I started coaching real estate agents in their mindset and in long game world-class experience systems when everyone was doing front-loaded sales training, which I know how to do, but that's very short-lived because you need to keep the client for 20 years. No one talks about that. Like if I said, how do you keep your client for 20 years? I don't know. We got wicked lead gen though. We do our follow-up calls though. Yeah. And we celebrate the anniversary that nobody else celebrates except real estate agents. It's awesome. Like when I get into real estate training, I realized how far it was. And I didn't like real estate agents because I was an investor. So
Yeah.
I'll tell you one story. One lady, we bought 16 condos from her in 2 weeks with my group of real estate investors. 16. Okay. She made over 100 grand in 2 weeks. Not even an effing thank you card. Not even anything. And so I realized, I thought, if I ever got in this game, I will destroy this game. And it's not cocky. It's just that they don't understand customer service. It's always about the agent. And it's like, do you want a pen with my face on it? Yeah, I've been dreaming about that for 10 years. Can I have two? It's such bullshit. Like they're missing human connection. It's a lot of branding.
Yeah, I think now, right, there's different companies, right? Like you have like the Mike Ferry, the Tom Ferry, that's about the prospect, and then you have the Brian Buffini that's about basically building relationships. But you don't really have a lot of coaches that mesh it together.
No.
Yeah.
So I actually saw a lot of success when I was coaching real estate agents as a business coach. So I thought I was in that transitional time still, right? From real estate to coaching, it's going good. And I thought, what would it be like if I actually became an agent and started it and like documented and proved the whole thing? And that's what I did. So I got my license and I convinced 12 agents to work with me on my real estate launch program, just made it up. And we met weekly for 6 months. So I ended up selling almost $500,000 of real estate in my first year. And my second year, I sold almost $660,000 paid out commission. So over $1.1 million my first year. No lead gen, no website, barely had a business card. And it was just all, I had tons of referrals coming in right away. And so I realized that, and I started coaching agents. And I've been I coach some businesses, and I work with a lot of executives in their relationships, to be honest. I run retreats now, but the real estate, I run something called the Real Estate Reboot Camp. And it's heavy on the mindset, heavy on inner beliefs, but heavy on creating a long game that keeps your clients forever. So here's the deal. I got a guy I'm working with, 35 years in the game. Okay. When I started working with him, he's doing lead gen calls. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? 35 years in the game and you're doing lead gen? He's like, yeah, I'm like $3,000 a month and doing this. I'm like, you're a great sales guy. I said, tell me how many transactions have you done? He's like, oh, well over 1,000, like thousands, right? So I said, okay, what if you kept 1,000 clients and you had a 5% referral rate? And his mind just went, holy shit. Because he's sitting in Vancouver. Every sale is like 15,000 commission at least. Like I said, you could have 50 sales, 0 marketing if you would have kept your clients for life. At 5% referral rate, nobody's talking about, like, I'm a business coach. I'm not a real estate coach. I'm like, why don't we build a business and actually treat it like a business? And everyone in real estate, it's really goofy because you have a real estate agent trained to be salesmen, even brokerages. Everything is about being a salesman, not a business owner. So I transform real estate agents into business owners. That's the biggest thing because imagine if it was on this call and I'm like, yeah, starting a restaurant, Vinny, starting a restaurant. I'm going to do the cooking, the hosting, cleaning, the parking lot maintenance. You would look at me and go, you're an idiot and you're going to fail. Well, that's how I see real estate agents. You're an idiot and you're going to fail because you're doing sign calls, you're doing listing documents, you're doing everything. And that what falls apart is aftercare. There's no time. So you have to shift the mindset to become a business owner versus a hustler, where everyone in the world is proud to be a hustler. And I'm like, you're dumb. Why are you working so hard? It gets crazy. I sold my real estate company, and for the last 2 years, like, because I built one of the largest teams or most successful teams in Western Canada. I ended up selling it. And that was always the plan. So I built it. So I built a business and sold it. For 2 years, I made hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars not selling anything. I did nothing. I did coaching. So, so the approach on real estate is definitely needing an overhaul, because, like you said, you got the Mike Ferry sales trainer, you got the Tom Ferry, which is a social media listing guy, all has value. And Buffini, good human being who believes in stopping by and doing touches and stuff. But the thing is, the mindset needs to change from hustler to business owner, and it's a completely different coaching. So I got into that, and it's been a massive success all across North America. It's been really cool. But I look for certain type of people. Not the guy that wants to become the top guy in the city. That's not my guy. I want to use your business to build a life you love.
Well, let's say we're talking in 5 years from now. Where's your program going to be, platform going to be, and where's Ben going to be?
You know what? Since I've won the game, so I used to live life as if it was overtime. And I thought, if I slow down at any second, I'll get scored on. And that mentality almost cost me my life, my marriage, my health, everything. And so my mentality is, I've already won. So if I keep doing the same thing I'm doing now, I'm super happy. But things are on a very fast-paced trajectory right now. So I'm scaling my real estate reboot right now. So we've got brokerages knocking down our door saying, hey, look, how do we get involved in this? They want a mindset coach more than a real estate coach. I'm kind of I'm seeing a really neat trend happening where all the other coaches hasn't worked, because they don't grow the real estate agent, they grow the system. So I feel like all the other coaches, I shouldn't say everybody, okay, I'm not trying to be arrogant or nothing, but what I see out there is coaches helping agents build race cars, but they don't actually look at two things: the fuel of the car, and they don't look at the driver's skill. So you have to realize so I'm looking at doing that. I'm also running retreats. So I take people for 3.5 days, do deep dive on who you are and what you want. Deep dive, nothing to do with business. We break down relationships with yourself, the limiting beliefs around money, around your self-image, and we break that down. And these are the guys that are seeing the most growth. Like, we're talking doubles and triples and quadruples because of the inner game. And so I think I've got a book coming out, The Richest Real Estate Agent: How to Build a 7-Figure Real Estate Business Without Sacrificing Your Family. I really believe that in 5 years, I'll be a household name. I'll be the only mindset personal growth coach in real estate. But I'm also branching out to business owners, executives. I'm taking, I'll be taking, 10 or 15 executives from a company and putting them through my retreats. And so, and honestly, living in where I live, I moved to West Vancouver from Edmonton, Alberta, and now I live in BC. I'm sitting on one of the most prestigious neighborhoods, looking at the ocean right now. So I wake up happy, like so happy. I go to the ocean. I went for a 2-hour date in the middle of the day with my wife, just walking the ocean. And I know it sounds really good, but man, I paid my dues, man. I got really focused on what I want, where I wanted to live, who I want to be with. I'm ridiculous with that stuff. And so I feel like if I can spread that message, if I can help more people, but I don't need to help more people. I've already changed a generation behind me. My kids are not going to ever experience what I experienced. So that's pretty awesome legacy. I'm happy with that. So
if people are listening right now, what's the best way of them following you, reaching out to you, hear more about your business?
BenOosterveld.com is my website. Okay. So the other one is Ben Oosterveld Instagram. Facebook gets pretty full, but you can jump on Facebook too. That's more groups and actually coaching there and stuff. Now I've got 5,000. They should jump that to 10,000. But Instagram's great. Ben Oosterveld. Everything's BenOosterveld.com. And if they're a real estate agent and they want to build out their systems and have their mindset looked at and do the deep dive, the Real Estate Reboot Camp. You'll find it on my website. It's 6 months. I've got it priced at a way that's going to be not too shabby for it's not a $20,000 coaching program that's going to get you an accountability partner. Put it that way. It's going to be a real deal. It's real systems. I lay out every single one of my systems. They get them all. Like, I give everything away. And then my job is to challenge their mindset so they'll execute. Why are you not doing what you know you should do? Let's solve that problem.
Makes sense. Well, I appreciate you, Ben, for being here. I know you have other interviews, other platforms you're heading off to. I appreciate you taking the time to be on the podcast. Hopefully everyone listening got some great nuggets. Go find Ben. His information is in the show notes. Thanks again, Ben.
Awesome, man. Cheers. Thanks, man.